Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive on strength training for all ages.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at some super helpful guidelines from physical therapists.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some great insights from the American College of Sports Medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have this really thought-provoking article on all the benefits of strength training, kind of the whole package.
That's right, yes.
So if you're thinking about how to create a strength training plan that really works for you throughout your life, like no matter what your age,
Right.
that's what we're going to be mapping out today. So stick with us.
It's so interesting how much emphasis has been placed on walking for overall health.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, walking is fantastic. It's great.
it is. Yeah.
But this article from Cooper University Healthcare kind of makes you think, are we maybe relying on it too much as like the only exercise solution?
That's a really good question. I mean, I've always been a walker, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm missing out on some key benefits by not incorporating more strength training. Like this Cooper article mentions a study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine.
Oh, right.
And this really caught my eye. It said that adding strength training can actually lower your risk of dying from any cause by 10 to 17%.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a really significant decrease. I mean, to put that into perspective, it's comparable to the impact of quitting smoking.
Really?
Really. It just goes to show how powerful strength training can be for, well, for our overall health, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes me really want to dig deeper into the specifics of how to make strength training work for me at different stages of my life.
Well, you're in luck because we have these super detailed guidelines from Advanced Training and Rehab,
Okay.
their physical therapy group,
Mm-hmm.
and they break down strength training recommendations by age. And get this, they start with kids as young as 7 and under.
7 and under, that seems awfully young
Okay.
to be thinking about strength training. What does that even look like for little ones?
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, right. It's not about like, weightlifting or anything intense at that age.
Right.
For this youngest group, it's all about just building that solid foundation of body control.
Yeah.
So think about things like single leg balances, hopping,
Uh-huh.
and even working on a proper running form, stuff like that.
So it's more about developing coordination and that mind-body connection.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's super important to emphasize proper technique, even at that age.
Even at that age.
Because as kids get older,
Yeah.
the exercises, they naturally become more complex,
Right.
and the intensity gradually increases.
Okay.
So, between the ages of 8 and 10,
Mm-hmm.
you can start to introduce, more exercises.
Yeah.
Always making sure there's a balance between working the upper and lower body.
The guidelines are really clear about no max weightlifting for this age group.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Safety first, especially when we're talking about, working with children.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you reach those 11 to 13-year-olds
Okay.
and things they get a bit more dynamic. They start to recommend incorporating proprioceptive drills.
Proprioceptive drills. What are those?
They sound really fancy, don't they?
They do.
But they're basically exercises that, challenge balance and coordination.
Okay.
So think about things like standing on one leg with your eyes closed, or maybe doing squats on a wobbly surface, like a Bosu ball.
Oh, okay. So making those basic movements we talked about a bit more challenging.
Exactly.
I like that.
And then, of course, you have the teenage years.
Yeah. The teenage years. What happens then?
So for like 14 and 15-year-olds,
Mhm.
the guidelines suggest adding dynamic stretching and some light plyometrics.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly is dynamic stretching and plyometrics?
Okay, so dynamic stretching involves like moving your body through a range of motion. So things like arm circles
Got it.
or leg swings, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then plyometrics, those are exercises that involve, jumping or explosive movements.
Yeah.
The source actually gives some really great examples like lunge jumps.
Lunge jumps.
Yeah, they're essentially lunges
Right.
with a jump added in at the bottom. So you're lunging and jumping.
Oh, okay. Okay. That sounds fun.
It does.
Like a good way to get that teenage energy out.
Exactly, yeah.
And then by 16, if they've, got those techniques down pat, they're ready for a more like quote unquote adult program.
Yeah, precisely.
Oh.
It's like they've got this roadmap for strength training
Mm-hmm.
all through childhood and adolescence,
Mm-hmm.
meeting them where they are developmentally.
Yeah, I never really thought about how crucial it is to tailor the approach based on age like this.
I know, I'm an idiot.
It makes total sense, but it's not something I'd ever consciously considered.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that strength training It's not just for the young. In fact,
Hmm.
it becomes even more crucial as we age. But we'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay, speaking of which, you know that Cooper article?
Yeah.
It really opened my eyes to some of the benefits of strength training that go way beyond just, getting stronger.
Mm.
They had this whole list, and some of them were pretty surprising.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, for example, did you know that because muscle burns more calories than fat,
Mm-hmm.
you'll actually be burning calories more efficiently even when you're at rest after a strength training workout?
It's true. It's like building muscle.
Yeah,
It's like turning up your body's metabolic engine.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. And they also point out that strength training can help decrease belly fat,
Oh, okay.
which, when you think about it, ties directly into the lower risk of chronic diseases that we were talking about earlier, with that study.
Oh, wow. It's like a chain reaction of positive effects.
Exactly.
But honestly, the benefit that surprised me the most was the impact on brain health.
Really.
I had no idea there's a connection there.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
It turns out that strength training can actually improve memory, attention,
Wow.
and even processing speed. And for, folks who are concerned about falls, particularly as we get older,
Yeah.
strength training can significantly reduce that risk.
Okay, so we've established that strength training is essential
Mhm.
throughout different stages of life, and it has a whole bunch of perks we might not even realize.
Right.
But how do we actually make it work for us? I mean, where do we even start?
Well, the American College of Sports Medicine, they suggest aiming for at least 2 days a week of strength training,
Okay.
making sure to work all the major muscle groups,
Mm.
legs, back, chest, so on.
Right, right.
And here's where I think that Cooper article really shines.
Okay.
It reminds us that we don't need a fancy gym to get a great strength training workout.
That's a huge relief, I'll be honest. Gyms can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, I hear you. And the article even gives some really practical tips for using things you already have at home.
Okay, like what?
Well, for example, they suggest using water bottles as weights or incorporating resistance bands into your routine.
I love that.
Yeah,
It makes strength training so much more accessible
right.
and less daunting.
Totally. It's all about finding what works for you and making it a sustainable part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is important,
Okay.
the Cooper article also has this really important reminder for anyone just starting out.
Okay.
Start slow,
Okay.
gradually increase your reps and sets, and most importantly,
Yeah.
listen to your body. You don't
Sure.
want to overdo it
Right.
and end up sidelined with an injury.
Yeah, no one wants that.
Definitely not.
That's sound advice. It's easy to get carried away when you're excited about a new fitness routine.
Totally.
But pacing yourself is key.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on to actually building a strength training routine,
Okay.
I'm curious,
Yeah.
what are your biggest takeaways so far? What's really resonating with you from what we've talked about?
Honestly, I'm still stuck on that 10 to 17% reduction in mortality risk.
Yep.
That just really hit home for me.
It is pretty incredible.
It makes all the other benefits seem even more compelling. How about you?
For me, it's the emphasis on tailoring the approach to different age groups.
Right.
I think it's so valuable to have those specific guidelines, especially for kids and teens.
Yeah.
It ensures that they're building strength safely and effectively, which is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder, what does a well-rounded strength training routine actually look like?
Yeah.
And how does it change as we age?
Ooh, that's a great question. And it's the perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive. So stick around, folks. All right. So we've established that strength training is like a must for pretty much everyone, no matter your age.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get practical here.
Okay.
What does a good strength training routine actually look like?
Well, when you're designing a strength training routine, it's helpful to think about those basic movement patterns that our bodies are designed for.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what are we talking about here? What kinds of movements?
Well, we're talking about pushing, pulling,
Okay.
squatting, hinging,
Okay,
and carrying.
gotcha. So these are movements that we use every single day.
Right, exactly.
And by strengthening them, we're not just, making ourselves physically stronger, but we're actually improving our ability to do all those everyday things more easily.
That's the idea.
I like that. So it's not about bulking up or getting ripped or anything.
No, not necessarily.
It's about being able to move through life with more strength and ease.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you. So give me an example.
Okay.
What's a push exercise?
Oh, well, think about, push-ups, bench presses, overhead presses,
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Okay.
They work your chest, your shoulders, and triceps.
Mm-hmm.
And they mimic actions like, pushing open a door
Right.
or lifting something heavy overhead.
Okay, I get it. So what about pulling?
So pulling exercises, those are going to work your back, your biceps,
Mm-hmm.
and the back of your shoulders.
Okay.
So think things like, rows,
Yeah.
pull-ups, lat pull-downs, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Those mimic actions like, pulling open a heavy door
Gotcha.
or starting a lawnmower,
Oh, yeah, the lawnmower. I feel that.
especially if it's a stubborn one.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got pushing and pulling.
Mhm.
What about squatting? I mean, I feel like that's a pretty natural movement.
It is, yeah.
But how do we turn it into a strength training exercise?
Well, squatting is a fantastic exercise for your entire lower body.
Okay.
It really targets your quads, your hamstrings,
Mm.
and your glutes.
Okay.
It mimics that essential motion of like sitting down and standing up,
Right.
which, let's face it, we do all the time.
We do.
And it's really important for maintaining mobility as we get older.
Oh, for sure.
It's one of those things you don't think about until,
Yeah.
it becomes harder.
It's harder to get up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes total sense. So we've got squats.
Mm-hmm.
Any other, variations on that?
Oh, there are tons of variations.
Mhm.
So you've got lunges,
Yeah.
which work similar muscles, but with a bit more focus on balance.
Okay.
And then there are more advanced variations, like box jumps,
Uh-huh.
which add that explosive element.
Okay.
But it all starts with that basic squat movement.
Okay, so we've covered pushing, pulling, squatting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about hinging? I'm not really sure what that movement even looks like.
Yeah, hinging is all about bending at your hips while keeping a flat back.
Okay.
It's that movement you use when you bend down to pick something up off the ground.
I see.
So,
That's
think
nifty.
deadlifts, kettlebell swings,
Okay.
or good mornings.
Okay.
They all involve that hinging motion.
Interesting. So we're training our bodies to move in ways that are both functional and safe.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you.
And then you've got carrying, which is often overlooked.
Carrier.
Yes, carrying.
I don't think about that one a lot.
Right. But it's so important.
Okay.
It's all about building core strength and stability.
Okay, so carrying, just walking around with things.
Well, yeah, but we can make it more challenging.
Okay.
Think about farmer's carries where you walk with heavy weights in each hand,
Gotcha.
or suitcase carries where you carry a weight on just one side.
Right.
And honestly, even just carrying those heavy grocery bags
Yeah.
can be a form of strength training if you engage your core and maintain good posture.
This is making me rethink my next trip to the grocery store.
I know, right?
I never thought about it that way.
It's all around us.
So by incorporating exercises that hit all those movement patterns, we're essentially creating a well-rounded and functional strength training program.
Precisely. And that's how you build a body that's not just strong, but also resilient and able to handle the demands of daily life.
I love that.
It's about moving through the world with confidence and ease.
I'm here for it.
You got it.
So the American College of Sports Medicine recommends strength training at least 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good starting point for most people?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. And you don't need to spend hours at the gym to get a great workout.
Right. Even short, focus sessions can be super effective.
Okay, that's good to hear.
As long as you're using your time wisely.
Right.
You don't want to be just, scrolling on your phone in between sets.
No, definitely not. But I'm still a little intimidated by the whole gym scene, to be honest.
And you know what? You don't have to go to a gym at all if you don't want to.
Oh, okay.
Remember what we talked about earlier? The Cooper article really emphasizes that you can get an amazing workout using just your own body weight
Yeah.
and a little creativity.
Okay, that's more my style. But what would those kinds of workouts look like?
Oh, sure. So for pushing, you can start with push-ups.
Okay.
And if you're not quite ready for a full push-up,
Yeah.
you can modify it by doing them against a wall
Mm-hmm.
or a countertop.
Right. Or even on your knees.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely done those knee push-ups before.
They're a great starting point.
Okay, perfect.
For pulling, you could try inverted rows, using a sturdy table, or the backs of a couple of chairs.
Okay, I can picture that. I think I can manage that.
Yeah, exactly.
What about squatting? We talked about basic squats.
Mm-hmm.
Are there body weight variations on those?
Oh, absolutely. Bodyweight squats are amazing for building lower body strength.
Okay.
And you can make them more challenging by adding jumps.
Okay.
Those are called jump squats.
Jump squats, okay.
Or by doing Bulgarian split squats.
Hold on, what's a Bulgarian split squat? That sounds intense.
They sound a lot fancier than they are, I promise.
Okay.
It's basically a single leg squat variation where you elevate your back foot on a bench or a chair.
Oh, okay.
It really targets your quads and glutes.
Gotcha.
And it challenges your balance and stability too.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm getting it now. I might have to try that one.
We should. What about hinging? Are there body weight exercises for that movement pattern?
You can definitely do Romanian deadlifts
Okay.
or RDLs for short.
30 Ls.
Yeah, using just your body weight.
Okay.
It's a great way to work your hamstrings and glutes without needing any equipment.
Perfect.
You're essentially mimicking that hip hinge movement we talked about earlier.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, what about carrying? We talked about farmer's carries and suitcase carries.
Right.
Can you do those without special equipment?
Absolutely. You can use water jugs,
Okay.
backpacks filled with books,
Oh,
or even laundry baskets.
Oh, yeah, laundry baskets. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just make sure you choose a weight that's challenging, but, still manageable.
Right.
And really focus on maintaining good posture,
Mm-hmm.
engaging your core as you walk.
Gotcha. I'm loving how practical and doable all of this is.
Right.
It really makes strength training seem less like a specialized activity
Mhm.
and more like something that, anyone can incorporate into their life.
That's the key. Yeah.
Awesome.
And remember, consistency is much more important than intensity.
Yeah.
It's better to, do a little bit regularly
Right.
than to try and do too much and then burn yourself out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So start small, build a sustainable habit,
Okay.
and gradually increase the intensity and duration of your workouts over time.
I like that. That's great advice. I'm a big believer in the power of small, consistent steps.
Me too. Small changes add up over time, right?
They do. They do.
Now, before we move on, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
The link between strength training and brain health.
Yeah.
I think that's a connection a lot of people don't fully appreciate.
I agree. I was blown away by the research you shared about the impact on, memory, attention, processing speed.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's like strength training for the brain as well as the body.
Exactly.
Why is that? What's going on there?
Well, there are a few theories. One is that strength training increases blood flow to the brain, which obviously delivers more oxygen and nutrients.
So it's like giving your brain a boost of energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another theory is that strength training may actually stimulate the growth of new brain cells.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So we can literally grow new brain cells through exercise.
That's what the research suggests.
That's incredible.
It is pretty amazing.
Okay, so more blood flow, new brain cells,
Uh-huh.
and what was the third one?
Oh, the third theory is that strength training helps to reduce inflammation throughout the body,
Okay,
and that includes the brain.
gotcha.
Chronic inflammation has been linked to cognitive decline.
Mm-hmm.
So, by reducing inflammation, we may be protecting our brains from damage.
Wow, it's like a triple whammy of brain benefits.
Yeah.
Increased blood flow, new brain cells,
Yeah.
reduced inflammation.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
No wonder strength training is so good for us.
It really is remarkable.
Yeah, and it just underscores how important it is to incorporate strength training into our lives no matter our age, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's an investment in our present and future health,
Mhm.
both physical and cognitive.
I agree.
So we've covered the basics of building a strength training routine, from the fundamental movement patterns
Okay.
to examples of body weight exercises we can do at home.
Mm-hmm.
But what about some practical tips for getting started
Yeah.
and, more importantly, staying motivated?
Okay.
Like starting is one thing, but how do we make it a habit?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Well, one of the most important things is to find activities you enjoy.
Right.
I mean, if you dread going to the gym,
Yeah.
don't force yourself to go to the gym.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Explore other options.
Okay.
Maybe you love hiking,
Mm,
dancing, or even gardening.
right.
All of those can be forms of strength training if you approach them with intention.
I like that. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to start small.
Okay.
Even a few minutes of strength training a
Okay.
couple of times a week can make a difference. It's all about building a sustainable habit, not about punishing yourself.
Right. Consistency over intensity, like you said earlier.
Always.
And I think having a support system can make a big difference too, right?
Oh, definitely. Finding a workout buddy
yeah.
or joining a fitness community,
Mm-hmm.
can help you stay accountable and motivated.
For sure.
And honestly, it's just more fun to exercise with a friend.
Right. Yeah.
You can encourage each other to push yourselves
Right.
and celebrate your progress together.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you and making it a fun and sustainable part of your life.
Couldn't agree more.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
Mhm.
We've covered so much.
We have.
From debunking that myth that, walking is enough,
Right.
to exploring like all the amazing benefits of strength training, both for body and mind.
Mm-hmm.
We even delved into like the whole concept of functional fitness
Yes.
and how it can help us, move through life with more strength and confidence.
It really has been an enlightening exploration.
It has. But before we wrap up completely, there's one more thing I want to discuss.
Okay.
It's something that really caught my attention in one of the sources.
Okay.
That whole idea of functional fitness.
Ah, yes. Functional fitness. It's like a buzzword you hear a lot these days.
It is.
And it's gained popularity for good reason.
So, what exactly is functional fitness? Like, what does it mean?
Well, it's all about training your body to move efficiently and effectively in real-life situations.
Okay.
So it's not just about, looking good or being able to lift a certain amount of weight.
Right.
It's about being able to, like, do those everyday things with ease and without pain or struggle.
I see.
Whether that's, carrying groceries, playing with your kids, or just getting up and down from a chair.
I like that. So it's about building strength and functionality for the things that actually matter in our daily lives.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
And it aligns perfectly with everything we've been talking about today, By focusing on those fundamental movement patterns
Right.
and building a well-rounded strength training routine, we're essentially building functional fitness.
So it's not just about like lifting weights in a gym.
Yeah.
It's about moving our bodies in ways that support like our overall health and well-being.
You got it. And it's something we can all benefit from,
All right.
regardless of age or fitness level.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of strength training now.
Good.
We've debunked myths, explored amazing benefits,
We have.
and even gotten some like really practical tips for getting started.
That's right.
I have to say, I'm feeling pretty inspired
Yeah.
to prioritize strength training in my own life.
Good. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm already planning my next workout.
Me too. Well, there you have it, folks.
Mhm.
We hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and the motivation to start incorporating strength training into your own life.
Yeah, get out there.
Remember, it's never too late to start,
That's right.
and the benefits are so worth the effort.
They are.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I keep thinking about how strength training, it really is for everyone.
It is.
It's not just about, aesthetics or athletic performance.
Right.
It's about building a foundation for like a healthier, more vibrant life.
I completely agree. And on that note, I'd like to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Ooh, I love a good thought-provoking question. Hit me with it.
Okay, so given everything we've explored today, the incredible long-term benefits, the accessibility of strength training, no matter your age or fitness level, that powerful mind-body connection,
Yeah,
how can you start incorporating strength training into your life today?
that's a great question. And it doesn't have to be a huge, overwhelming change, right?
Absolutely not.
Like, what are some small steps people can take?
Well, maybe it's as simple as, adding a few bodyweight squats and push-ups to your morning routine.
Oh,
Or taking a walk while carrying some light hand weights. Or even just, committing to taking the stairs instead of the elevator whenever possible.
Yeah.
Just little things like that.
I like that. Small, achievable steps.
Yeah.
That can make a real difference over time.
Exactly. Consistency is key.
Ugh.
Even a few minutes of like intentional movement each day can have a cumulative effect.
Yeah,
You don't have to go from 0 to 60 overnight.
totally. And maybe it's time to like dust off those resistance bands.
Oh, yeah.
Or dig out those water bottle weights we were talking about earlier.
Get creative.
Yeah.
Make it fun. Find what works for you.
I think this deep dive has really given us all a fresh perspective on strength training. It's not just for, athletes or bodybuilders.
Right.
It's for everyone who wants to feel, stronger, healthier, and more confident in their bodies.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And for those of you who are eager to learn more, we encourage you to check out the full articles we mentioned today.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll be sure to include links in the show notes.
We've only scratched the surface of this fascinating topic, but hopefully we've, sparked your curiosity
Yeah,
and given you a solid foundation to build upon.
absolutely. Remember, knowledge is power,
It is.
but action is what transforms that power into, tangible results.
So get out there, explore, experiment, and find what works for you.
Yes.
Your body and your mind will thank you for it.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into strength training for all ages.
That's right.
We hope you found it insightful, engaging, and maybe even a little bit motivating.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing yourself to new heights.
See you in the next deep dive.